sources close to the negotiators said, without elaborating, without saying more than what was said, only what was said, not what was said and what they think was said too, no. Only what was said. Do not elaborate. Tell me exactly what was said, but don't add anything on. And in this case, they did not elaborate. But they said, Tehran's proposals, suggestions, ideas on how to treat the nuclear problem would be based on realistic approaches and acceptable logic. So they're not going to be unrealistic. They're going to state things that can actually be done. Realistic approaches, ideas, realistic ideas, approaches, ways to treat the problem, and acceptable logic. Logic that would be something that the other side would find appropriate, acceptable. What is logic? What is logic?
Reason.
Acceptable logic. Reason. Well, it's a way of correct, proper thinking. If I said to you, how do you get out of this classroom? How do you get out of this classroom? Well, one way would be to walk down the aisle and turn out the door, open the door and leave. That's one way. Another way would be to climb over the desks, break through the window, and then crash out onto the hallway. That's a second way. There's two ways to leave the room. The logical way, walk down and turn and go, or the illogical way is to crash through the windows and say, oh, that's how you leave the room. No. You don't crash through the window, you walk out the door. Logic, clear thinking, acceptable logic. Logic that would be, people would look at as reasonable. You say, oh, well, you can crash through the windows to get out of the room. Yeah. Is that logical? No. You walk down the hall and you turn left and out the door. That's the logical. And so what they want is acceptable logic, proper thinking, correct, reasonable thinking. France, meanwhile, guaranteed Israel, assured them that it would keep the pressure, the heat, the idea of must be accomplished on Tehran after the Israeli Prime Minister, Netanyahu, cautioned, warned, be ready, be careful, caution, the Western powers against giving in, surrendering, succumbing, giving in, surrendering, succumbing to Iran's charmed offensive. Charms, the Smiley campaign. Be cautious. Don't fall for what they're doing. The charm offensive. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Glad you're here. Can I get you some tea? Coffee maybe? Milk and sugar? The charm offensive.
Thank you.
Oh, you're leaving? Oh, okay. Goodbye. Are there any questions about this?
Yes.
Sure. Right. France, meanwhile, assured Israel, guaranteed, told Israel that you can count on us. We assure you, we guarantee you that Israel would keep the pressure on Tehran. Keep the pressure for Tehran to do something. keep telling Iran in a very strong way, that they have to not interfere. And the Western powers would be against succumbing to Tehran's charge. Guaranteed, Israel. We assure you, we guarantee you, we tell you this is what will happen. We will keep the pressure on Iran. And he warned or he cautioned the Western powers against giving in, succumbing to Tehran's charge. Against giving in to Tehran now that they have said, let's talk, let's everything be.
Giving in mean not so worried about Tehran.
What is it?
Giving in.
Yeah, the Israeli Prime Minister warned or cautioned the Western powers against giving in, surrendering to this new offensive by Tehran, where they're trying to say everything's fine, we're not making a bomb, we're not doing anything dangerous. Please believe me. Well, the Israeli Prime Minister, as you know, is the guy that says, hey, don't listen to what they say. They say everything is okay, they're not doing anything dangerous. Don't believe them. Don't succumb to the smile campaign, where they're saying everything's fine. There's no problem. Why get upset? Everything's just fine. Well, the Israelis say, don't be a chump. Don't fall for it. It's a trick. It's a trick. They're doing this. It's a trick. So we'll see.
The right for me, surrender.
Surrender. Surrender. The army surrendered. The war was over. Surrender. Give in. Yield. Surrender. Give up. The army surrendered and the war was over. Surrender. I give up. I surrender. I surrender. Don't shoot. Don't shoot. I surrender. Give up. What? Oh, raise the white flag. Raise the white flag. Exactly. When the white flag goes up, what does that mean? That's basically the international sign, I surrender. They raise the white flag.
Again, succumbing is mean don't surrender.
Oh,
Again, succumbing.
Yeah.
Succumbing.
yeah, don't give in. Don't give in to Tehran's smile campaign. Don't give in. Don't succumb. Oh, I just gave up totally. Don't give in to the smile campaign. It's not real, says the Israeli Prime Minister. It's a trick.
Again, in this meaning don't the same as don't in this means
Yeah. Caution Western powers. Don't
not surrender.
give in to Iran. Don't give in to Iran. But the guy writing the article decided that's too easy. I've got to get bigger words in there, so maybe I'll get a promotion as a writer. So I'll come up with, instead of warned against, said don't give in to Iran, he said against succumbing to Tehran's charge. In other words, don't give in to Iran. Another way of saying a very simple thing. But in reading newspapers and hearing people give speeches Sometimes they elaborate, say more than they really need to say. So you could say, don't give in to Iran. One way. Second way, to kind of embellish or elaborate, don't succumb to Tehran's charm. Wow, pretty elaborate way to say, don't give in.
Realistic is the real.
You got it. Realistic. Unrealistic would be not realistic. Realistic approaches, something that's, it's like I'm telling you about leaving a room. A realistic approach, if I said, how can I leave this room? Well, teacher, a realistic approach would be to go down the center aisle, turn left, open the door, and leave. An unrealistic approach would be to climb over the desk, crash through the window, and you're out of the room. Which is realistic? Well, I think the first one, as opposed to crashing through the glass. You could hurt your arm.
So approach in here means idea.
Approach, yeah. How do you approach? To approach something means to come closer and closer and closer. That's one approach. One way to say, talk about an approach is to come closer. I am approaching the desk. What they're talking about here is coming closer to presenting an idea, realistic ideas in connection with the negotiations. How are you going to approach the problem? Well, I'm going to walk down the center aisle, turn left, and go out the door. That's a realistic approach to the problem of how do I leave the room? I can't figure out how to leave this room. Well, walk down the center and out the door. That is a realistic approach to the problem of leaving the room. Unrealistic? Jump over the desk and crash through the glass. You're out of the room. Problem solved. But that is an unrealistic approach to the problem. Any other questions?
Sure. The coding, it means the real from someone say something.
The real words from
someone.
the real words. The real words. Quoting is to report exactly what was said. Exactly. You could say, as I said before, I will be leaving tomorrow on the plane at 10 o'clock. You can quote me. The only thing that you could quote me is, I will be leaving tomorrow on the plane at 10 o'clock. That would be the quote. If you didn't want to quote me, you could say that teacher James, while he was in class yesterday, stood up and mentioned that he would be leaving tomorrow on the plane, the United Airlines Flight 602, leaving at 10 o'clock from the Bangkok airport. But I didn't say that exactly. I said I will be leaving tomorrow on the plane at 10 o'clock. That's the quote. Then you could go to sources close to teacher James, who reported that in fact he said he wasn't leaving tomorrow at 10 o'clock. He was going to Papua, but he didn't want anybody to know. Sources close to the teacher said that he may not be leaving tomorrow at 10 o'clock. He may be going to Papua. But to quote me is to report exactly what I said. Not what you think I said, what I said.
I see.
Quote.
I ever seen the word like quotation mark.
Well, what you got to be careful when you say something like you just said is, what did you just say? Ever or never?
Ever seen this word in
What does that mean? I ever seen this word before. What does that mean?
It mean I ever seen before.
This is a mistake I've heard many, many times. I ever seen that word before. What does that mean? I ever seen that word before. Is what you're saying, I have never seen that word before? Because I ever seen that word before has no meaning. I ever seen that word before. Everyone would say, oh, what he means is, I have never seen that word before. In other words, at no time in my life have I ever seen that word before. I have never seen it before. Have you ever seen this word before? No, I have never seen it. You see the difference? Have you ever in your life seen this word before? No, sir, I have never seen it before. I ever seen it before? No, I have never. Have you ever? No, I never. Have you ever? No, I never. What's the question?
No, I just want to say that I ever seen this word before in like the noun quotation mark.
Oh, okay.